Hey, so if you've got an F2B visa interview coming up at the US Embassy in Addis Ababa, then you are in exactly the right place. We're going to walk through the kinds of questions you can expect, step by step, so you can walk into that interview feeling ready and confident. Let's get right into it.
Okay, first things first, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. An F2B visa is specifically for you if you are an unmarried son or daughter, you're 21 or older, and your parent is a lawful permanent resident, green card holder. The two biggest things here are that you have to be unmarried, and it's your parent who's a green card holder who is sponsoring you. All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with some questions about you, then move on to questions about your petitioner, that's your parent. After that, we'll get into the really important stuff, like how to prove your relationship. And finally, we'll touch on questions about your family and what your plans are for the US.
So when you sit down for your interview, it's pretty much guaranteed to start with some basic questions about you. The consular officer's first job is just to confirm who you are and that the details match what's in your paperwork. You can expect the simple stuff, right? Like your full name and birthday. But definitely pay close attention to that question, are you married? Remember, for the F2B visa, you have to be unmarried, so this is a really big deal. They'll also probably ask if you have any kids. Just be ready to answer these clearly and honestly.
And the main thing to remember here is that this isn't some kind of test with trick questions. It's really just a verification process. The officer is literally just checking that your answers line up with what you put on your application. So your only job here is to be confident and truthful. That's it.
Okay, so once they've confirmed who you are, the conversation is naturally going to shift to your petitioner. That's the parent who filed for you. What the officer is looking for is evidence that you have a genuine, active relationship and that you actually know about their life in the US.
So you should definitely be ready for questions like, who is your petitioner? What kind of work do they do? Or where in the United States do they live? Knowing these details isn't about memorizing facts, it's about showing that you have a real, ongoing connection with the parent who's sponsoring you. Something else that's super important to keep in mind is that the interview could be in English or in Amharic. Just being familiar with how some of these key questions might be asked in both languages can make a huge difference. It can really boost your confidence and cut down on any stress about translation. Now, this next part, this is arguably the most important section of your whole interview. This is where you go beyond just answering questions and actually start demonstrating the reality of your relationship with your parent. The officer really wants to understand how you've kept your bonds strong, even with all that distance. They'll ask about things like phone calls, video chats, messages, and they'll probably ask when you last saw each other face to face. It's a really good idea to just think back on these details before you go in.
And this is where you get to back up everything you're saying with actual proof. It's one thing to tell the officer your clothes, it's another thing to show them. So have things like photos, screenshots of messages, receipts from money transfers, or even phone call logs, all organized and ready to go. All these little pieces together paint a really powerful picture of your connection. Think of it like this. Every photo, every message, every receipt is another piece of your family's story. Your job in that moment is to present that story clearly, to prove that your connection has stayed strong no matter how many miles are between you. All right, next up, the consular officer is going to want to understand a bit more about your wider family situation. These questions just help them build a fuller picture of your life back in Ethiopia.
So you'll probably get asked about your siblings. Do you have any brothers or sisters? And if you do, where are they living now? This just helps the officer understand your whole family structure. They'll also probably want to know about your current living situation in Ethiopia, and if you have any other relatives already living in the US. Again, just answer these questions honestly and directly. It's all just part of filling in the details of your personal story. And finally, the interview is going to shift to the future. The officer is interested in what you plan to do once you get to the United States. They want to see that you've actually thought about what your new life will look like. This is a pretty broad question, but it's an important one. It's your chance to talk about your goals and what you hope to achieve. You don't need a super detailed day-by-day plan or anything, but just having a general idea of your first steps is really helpful. The officer might then get a little more specific, asking you about your plans for school or a job. Thinking about whether you want to continue your studies or what kind of work you might look for just shows that you're looking ahead and you're prepared for this big change. Now, this question right here is a big one for the F2B visa. Because a key requirement is that you're unmarried, the officer will very likely ask about your future marriage plans. Your answer needs to be honest and reflect your current situation. So when you boil it all down, what's the most important thing to take away from all this? Just remember that the interview isn't an interrogation. It's really just a conversation. Their goal is simply to verify what's in your file and to understand your story. And being prepared is what gives you the power to tell that story with confidence.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. The paperwork, the questions, that's all just the framework. The real heart of this whole process is you and your story. So as you get ready, don't just try to memorize answers. Think about your journey, your relationship with your parent, and all your hopes for the future. So the real question is, how will you tell your authentic story?